All right, today we're going to talk about allowances versus commissions. I don't know about you, but I grew up having an allowance as a child or as a young kid or maybe even up to teenage years. I got an allowance from my parents just for being a part of the family and doing the things that we did around the house. It's taking out the garbage, it's washing the dishes, taking the dog on a walk, or all of the different things that you do. You might have either grown up the same way or you might have kids that this is what you do. Looking back on this, as I learn about finance and as I learn about budgeting and how the human psyche works, I'm less in favor of the allowance and more in favor of what we call commissions. Let's explain a little bit of the difference. Allowance is I will just give you this set amount of money per week, per month, whatever you've decided as your family, just because. A commission is tied to the specific tasks that you do. So the difference would be if your child is supposed to do the garbage, walking the dog, cleaning their room, sweeping or mopping the floor, whatever, laundry, whatever it is, those chores, if they do not do those things, they don't get paid for them. That's a commission, right? Commission, just like in work, our jobs, if we do something and get the result, we get the commission on that, right? We get rewarded. If it's just an allowance, you get it regardless. You get it if you do it, or you get it if you don't do it. I believe it's not teaching our children the right mindset of how the world works and how money works. So here's how this will operate in your household if you go with this commission schedule rather than an allowance. I would say don't give your kids any allowances just because. What I would do is there's two things. Let's talk about the commissions first. We'll get back to the episode in just a second, but we wanted to give you a gift just for being here today. Thank you so much. We've got a 3-part video workshop absolutely free for you. This workshop is designed to help you get organized with your money so that you can give yourself a 10% raise. When you give yourself a 10% raise, you are going to have more money. And when you have more money, we will show you exactly what to do with that money so that you can get on the path to financial freedom and start living your life, your ideal life today. You're going to learn how to get out of debt. You're going to learn how to save money. You're going to learn how to free up money so that you can invest for your future. If you're unfulfilled with life, whether it be at work, in your personal life, or with your money, then this is the workshop for you. Visit sentinelcoaching.com/raise. That's sentinelcoaching.com/raise, or click the link in the description. Now, back to the episode. With the commissions is they have their set chores, and you can give them a choice in this, or you can just say, hey, there are certain things that we do because we're part of the family. You don't get paid for that, right? You need to clean your room. You need to clean your bathroom. You need to make your bed after getting up. You need to put your laundry in the hamper or whatever, right? We clear the table after a meal and wash our dishes. Whatever it is that you've decided that your kids need to do just because it's part of the family, that's just what we do. We're not getting paid for that. The commissions are the things that we do that are over and above those regular normal things as part of the family. So that could be some of the yard work, the maintenance on the house, some extra chores that you've done, scrubbing something that's not really the normal, like cleaning the refrigerator out and getting all the gunk out from on the bottom that's spilled, doing a deep clean of the bathroom, right? All these different things if they want to rake the leaves and all that. So you determine what that list is and maybe even assign a dollar amount next to each of those chores so they can choose what they do and what they don't do based on the value of it. So mowing the yard, raking the leaves, cutting the hedges, those types of things, if it's a harder job, maybe that has a higher commission than doing the family's laundry, like washing, drying, not necessarily folding, whatever. You decide that. So you get to determine this one pays $5, this one pays $8, this one pays $2, this one pays $12, depending on the time it takes, the effort, and all that. So that's the commission schedule. What this does is it teaches kids how money works in the real world, not the ATM of are your parents, right? Oh, I ask for money and I get money from my parents, right? That's not helping your child learn how the world really works, because they're not going to just ask their boss. They're not going to ask the government. They're not going to ask their teacher. They're not going to ask anybody, their friends, for money. And it's like, yeah, here you go. Here's some money. That's not how the world really works. We somehow have gotten that in our family units. We've gotten that confused and saying, okay, well, they ask for money. They need help. Here you go. Here's some money. And that teaches them to continue to come back to you like you're an ATM. That's not how the world really works. So not doing the allowance and doing the commission schedule is how we teach our children how money works and how the world works. What this also does is it helps them choose in life, that they actually have some kind of choice, that they have consent in what they do and what they don't do. Now, again, like I said before, we do some things just because we're part of the family. That's our responsibility as part of the family, to be a working unit. You're not just a silo over here. But there are certain things that we choose that we want to do. Hey, this is worth it. I'm going to put my own thought into it and say this is worth the money that I'm getting paid for, or this is not worth the money that I'm going to get paid for. And that's okay. That's okay. Let them choose that. Again, if they do it, they get paid. If they don't do it, they don't get paid. That's okay. Like, this is how the world really works. So we're going to teach them that. So part of our job as parents is to not raise good kids. It's to raise kids that become good adults. That's our job as parents. So these are the things that you're teaching them at working on a commission schedule versus not a commission schedule. So try it out in your family. Put down a list of chores and the dollar amounts next to them, and just say, okay, here's what we're going to be doing from here on out. If you want to go buy that video game, or you want to go out to a movie with your friends, or do all these things that you want to do that you keep asking me money for, you can go and do those things, but you're going to have to work for the money because you are paying for that. I'm not going to be paying for that all the time. Okay, so that's the first thing about the commissions. I'll throw on a bonus here on how I coach some of my clients as they're teaching their kids age-appropriate money handling and all that kind of thing. So when your kids are really, really young, you pay for everything, right? You do that. And then as they grow, as they get to 8, 9, 10, and then into their teenage years, 13, 14, 15, before they move out of the house, there are all kinds of things that we as parents pay for that is just part of them being in school, going to events, going out with their friends, the clothes that we put on their back, right? Their school supplies, their hobbies, all of these different things. And what happens as they get older is we want to teach them how money really works, and to try to figure out how to save and how to give and how to spend appropriately. But if we always do all the work for them, they don't learn the lessons they need to learn. So here's what I recommend. As they get older, you start by opening a savings account, right? Number one, you open a savings account for your kid. And this could be, depending on your child, some of them are more money oriented. So 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, they start thinking about money, right? Learning how money works, paying for things. And then as they get to be teenage years, you need them to be somewhat learning how to be independent and setting themselves up so that when they do move out of the house, they go to college or they get jobs and all these things. They know how to pay their rent. They know how to pay their utilities. They know what things generally cost. They can decide whether or not they should buy those clothes, or they should go to the movies, or they should save, or they should invest, or they should give. All of those things you need to be teaching them. So we ramp this up. So what this looks like at 7, 8, 9 years old could be opening that savings account, putting money that you would normally spend on them, right? School supplies, clothing, and all that. You can actually put that in there as this is what we would normally spend on you because you're our child and you're dependent. So this is what we do. So let's just pretend it's $200 a month that you think you spend on each child. So let's say you have 2 kids. You open 2 different savings accounts, one for each of them. You put $200 per month in there, and you say, look, you've got $200 every single month that we are putting away for you to pay for the things that we buy you. And then as they become teenagers, they see that at 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, they see that growing because you're not really using a whole lot of that. You're using some of it. So they see that money growing, and they start getting like, okay, this is how savings works. When they become preteens or into their teenage years, you actually help them pay for things on their own. So they might have school clothing. So you go shopping with them and you buy a couple of outfits before school starts in the fall, and you have them pay for it. So how that works is you can actually now open a checking account and get a debit card, and you don't give them the debit card and say, that's your responsibility. That's not the next step. That's a future step. But you have the debit card and you go with them and you say, okay, you pick out your things, you analyze how much it costs versus how much you have in the checking account or savings account, and you say, all right, we have these other things that we need to be purchasing for your school or for your hobbies or whatever. And you help them create some kind of budget in their head of, you've got to make this money spread out or stretch for all of the things. You can't just spend it all on that food or all on that hobby or all on that clothing, even though you want to, right? You want those designer, clothes, and you're going to spend $150 on. No, that's not it, because you only have $200 in there, and you need to do these other things. So this is how you teach them. These are conversations that you have, and then you let them actually go to the counter and interact with the adult behind the counter and talk and give them the debit card and pay for it. So have them see the receipt, have them see the checking account when it goes from $600 down to $500 because they spent $100. Like, they need to see that and correlate that to, wait, I had 600, I bought this, now there's only 500. Ooh, okay, I see how this works, right? They're developing in their brains how money is really working and how giving and saving and spending is all working. Then as it becomes mid-teens and then get ready to leave or go to school or whatever they're going to do in their 17, 18, 19 years of age, that's when they actually have the control and power. And at that point, they have understood, because you've walked them through all of these pieces. You've walked them through what a savings account is and how money works, and then how money grows if you put more in there. And then you have taught them how spending works, and you've taught them how giving works, and you've taught them about checking account and their debit card, using cash and a debit instead of a credit card. And then you figure out, oh wow, you have to have money in there in order to buy that thing. So by the time they're 16, 17, 18, they already know that stuff, so they don't have to figure it out as young adults. They're not fully developed yet. They don't know. So if you just throw them out into the real world, they're shell-shocked. They have no idea how this all works. So you have to do these steps in order to get them to become these good adults and handle their money well, so they didn't make the mistakes that we did, right? I don't know about you, but I made all the mistakes in the world. I signed up for credit cards and I was spending money that I didn't have, and I just didn't understand how saving worked and how investing worked and all those things when I was in my teenage years and in my early 20s even. So this is how you progressively help your kids become good adults, right? So I hope that makes sense, where you start out with simple stuff and then you grow and grow and grow as they grow. And then you can actually release them into the world, and they'll be able to actually live life really well and handle money really well, because you've taught them the right things. Okay, so that's about allowances and commissions, and then teaching our kids how to become good adults and handle the money really well based on how the world really works and how money really works. All right, so I'll see you in another video.